I want to say that if you're out there, I would challenge you as you're listening to this to write down a sentence or two. It does not have to be that long at all. But think about, what do you think is your reason for being? Like, what is your real purpose, your real reason for being here? Forget about just what you do in your 9 to 5 or just in your business, like the high level definitions of things. I work for this, I sell this, I serve people this way, or I have a product or service that does this. Think of it from a deeper level. When it's not your purpose and it's not what you're supposed to be doing, you are going to get drained and you are going to burn out. Trust me, I've seen it happen time and time again. It has happened to me, and it becomes very clear when it's not what you're supposed to be doing. You just feel it. There's something in your gut that you feel when it's not what's meant for you. And I've been there. I know that feeling. And so if you feel that, then that thing is probably not your purpose or what you're supposed to be doing. Hello, and welcome to the Quiet Voice Fearless Mind podcast, a show where we help introverts to reach their full potential. My name is Terrence Lee, aka the Introvert Leader. Welcome to the show. And today I want to talk a little bit about purpose. All right. Now, I know what you might be thinking. There's a bunch of self-improvement, self-help shows and podcasts and books and all kind of things out there that talk about purpose, right? And pursuing your purpose and all of that. Well, I want to put a little spin on this conversation. I want to talk about this specifically as it pertains to introverts, okay? And a lot of the things that sometimes we can deal with. I know, speaking for myself, recently I've had really kind of just a realization that I haven't really been pursuing my purpose. And I found myself questioning what my purpose even is. And you may be in a similar situation. You might be going through your day to day, and you might be trying to figure out, what am I supposed to be doing? Like, why am I actually here? What is my reason for being? These are the kind of conversations that I really want to start having. And like I said, I've had to deal with this myself here recently. A lot of times as introverts, we can overthink. We can get into scenarios where we're just thinking about everything that's going on in our life, and we're asking questions like, am I supposed to be here? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? We may also deal with imposter syndrome. It's something that I've dealt with in the past myself, where we're doing something, but we're asking ourselves, should I be here? Do I deserve to be here? Am I in the right place? I mean, there are all of these questions and all of these things that I feel like tie in overall to purpose, right? So, what is our purpose? That's what we're going to be talking about. And just, really digging into some ways to know if we're acting within our purpose as introverts. All right. So, really quick, one thing I like to do, I always like giving definitions for things because words matter, right? So, purpose, because people throw it out there all the time as this buzzword. Well, it's really simple. Basically, purpose, the definition is the reason for which something is done or created, or for which something exists. Okay. The reason for which something is done or created, or for which something exists. So, my question as you're listening to this or watching would be, why do you believe you exist? What is your reason for being in this world? What is the legacy going to be whenever you're gone? What is your current legacy while you're here? So I'll say for myself, for a long time, I considered my purpose, I just assumed it was to be an engineer, right? I mean, I went to school for engineering. When I grew up as a kid, I loved math and science. I was always touching things and breaking things and building things and all of that, right? So I just assumed, all right, well, I love math and science. I majored in engineering in college. When I graduated, I got a role as an engineer at a Fortune 500 company, and I've been in the technical engineering field and now in aerospace and defense ever since then. So I assumed to myself, okay, well, my purpose is I'm an engineer, right? But the more that I learned and the more that I just read different from different authors and pastors and thought leaders and various people, I began to realize that what I do is not my purpose. Because that's what a lot of us assume, right? Like someone says, "Hey, so what do you do?" Or "Why are you here?" And one of the first things we'll naturally do is we might start with our occupation. "Hey, I do this. I work here. My business is this. I run this," or, "I do XYZ." And a lot of times that's where we start. But that's not really purpose. So that was really a realization for me. So then I said, okay, well, I'm going to go a little deeper with it, right? I'm going to go deeper. I'm going to get more personal. So then I started to think, well, really, what my purpose is? It's tied around my faith, So for me, I'm a Christian, but I'm also a husband. I'm a dad, to two kids. So that's my purpose, you know. It's this faith. It's a husband and I'm a dad, right? Which that sounds good, and that's what a lot of people say. It's like, hey, who are you? It's like, hey, I'm this. I'm a dad. I'm a mom. I'm a this. I'm that, right? But even that, we're getting now into just, these are labels and these are just kind of what we do, right? Like we have these relationships and we have these family bonds and we have these things that are extremely important to us. And, again, I mean, when it comes to our spirituality or whatever religion you subscribe to, that's important to us as well. It's a part of a core of our being. But does it truly define our purpose? Right. So again, I was kind of stuck. I was like, okay, these are also things that make up who I am. I know that they're a part of me, but do they define my purpose? So I would ask you again, just taking a pause, think about the question again: why do you exist? And why are you here? If your answer is one of the first two areas that we just covered, if it's tied around occupation or if it's tied around your relationships just to your family and your spirituality or whatever you might subscribe to as far as your beliefs, all of those things, don't get me wrong, important, and they are the cores of who we are. But is it our purpose? I think purpose is something defined on a different level. Again, it's tied to, based on the definition, the reason we're here, the reason we exist. So the more that I've been digging more into it, and by the way, the reason that I wanted to talk about this, what really spawned this, is I realized that a lot of my purpose and what I'm supposed to be doing is centered around writing. It's centered around being an author. And I completely have gotten away from that. I've been doing a lot of different things with the Introvert Leader platform that I do, and with my occupation, and with a lot of things outside of work and business that have been completely away from what I'm supposed to be doing. And I didn't even realize it, because sometimes in life, we get so busy with the day to day that we don't even think about, what am I actually supposed to be doing? And I didn't realize it until I went to an author conference here a few weeks ago. I talked about this on the podcast in the past episode, but being there, I realized I have not been operating in a huge part of my purpose for the past few years. I put out my book, Quiet Voice, Fearless Leader, in October 2021. I spent a lot of 2022 promoting the book. And really, if I'm honest, a lot of this year, while I've promoted the book and everything like that, I really have lost, or I had lost, that writing, that fire for writing, that passion for writing, that passion for helping through word, right? Helping people through putting words on paper. And that's now starting to come back. So that's really a lot of the reason for why I wanted to talk some about this today. But I think for me, when I think about purpose, and this is something I wrote down before this episode, so I'm kind of still working through it, but I believe that my purpose is to be an advocate for people that feel misunderstood. I think it's being an advocate for people that feel misunderstood. And the reason I feel that way, I've always gravitated to like underprivileged kids, or even kids that they might have both parents at home and have a stable house and everything like that. But for some reason, they don't feel heard they don't feel like their parents understand them, or they act out and they have situations and maybe teachers or parents think something is wrong with them. I've always just had a heart for kids like that. And it's probably why I've always, I've been in like Big Brother, Big Sister. I've always had, young kids that I'll mentor. I'm in a kids ministry at my church right now. I just naturally have always wanted to do those things. It's not like anyone has, pushed me to do them. I just have always gravitated to that. And I love it. And I think that's why. With the introvert leader, the whole thing is talking to and helping fellow introverts that may feel misunderstood, that may go through various things that they feel like nobody hears them or nobody understands it. And that is the whole reason I started my platform and I do this podcast, because I want to give a voice to people that may not feel like a lot of people out there understand. And so that's a huge part of my purpose. And a lot of that for me also comes through writing. I'm working on my new book series right now. Super excited about it. Going to that writers conference was a huge wake up moment for me. And so I want to say that if you're out there, I would challenge you as you're listening to this to write down a sentence or two. It does not have to be that long at all. But think about, what do you think is your reason for being? Like, what is your real purpose, your real reason for being here? Forget about just what you do in your 9 to 5 or just in your business, like the high level definitions of things. I work for this, I sell this, I serve people this way, or I have a product or service that does this. Think of it from a deeper level. And again, not even just, I'm a mom, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a wife, like all of these various things and these titles that we have in our lives. What is your purpose? Like, just take a second as you're listening to this right now, get a piece of paper and write something down. Write that thing down that you feel like is your purpose. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a few reasons or a few ways that you'll be able to tell if something truly is your purpose. And I think once you hear these 5 things, if the thing that you wrote down connects with the things on this list, then you may be on to something and you may have really found your purpose and the thing that you're going to be called to do. All right. Introverts are too quiet and too weak to lead. Have you ever heard this before? Well, my name is Terrence, and for years as an introvert, I didn't think I had what it took to be a leader. What I learned was being an introvert is my superpower. If you want to learn how to have success as an introvert, then go to quietvoicefearlessleader.com to learn more. So 5 ways to know if you have found your purpose. 5 ways to know. So the first one is very simple, but I think very important, is when you think about this particular thing or what might be your purpose, does it make you smile? Like, what is your natural reaction when you think about it? So on the flip side, right? Let's just think about a scenario of somebody that goes on vacation. They go on vacation. Maybe they took off a week from work and they've really been looking forward to this trip. I mean, they have been looking forward to it. They've been planning it out, saving all of that. And they go on this trip and they just have the time of their life. It is amazing. They're taking pictures, they're posting on social media, they're with, friends or significant other, or they might be by themselves. Hey, introverts, we can vacation by ourselves too. I've done that before. That's cool too. Whatever the case might be, right? That person goes on this trip and they come back and it's Sunday evening. It's around 5:30 and all they can think about is the dread as they think about going to work in the morning. Some of you are listening, you know that feeling. I know you know that feeling. Like, you've been on a trip and everything. You've had an amazing time. You're still on a high from the trip. And then that day comes and you're thinking about the next day and you're thinking about clocking in or logging in to that place where you work. Now, I would say this. There are some people that they don't get that feeling on that Sunday. And the reason they don't get that feeling is because when they think about what they love what they do. So coming back from a trip or something like that, it's no big deal because they get to wake up the next morning and get right back to doing what they love doing. But for some other people, and this may be you listen to the podcast right now, in that same scenario, when you think about that Monday morning, it doesn't bring a feeling of excitement. You don't smile when you think about logging in, you know? You don't have joy when you think about opening up and checking your emails. Like a lot of people, they don't have that feeling. And so, if that's the case, I would tell you that that is a very telltale sign to let you know that that thing that you're doing that is likely not your ultimate purpose. Now, here's the thing: we live life, and we have responsibilities, right? We have lives to live. We have bills. Many of us have families. We have things going on, right? So it's not to say that, oh, if you're in something that you don't enjoy doing, just put in your 2 week notice and quit tomorrow. You know what I mean? That's not what I'm saying. We have things that we need to do to, live our life. But ultimately, should we be living our lives and go through this whole life, the one that we get, having never known why we were really here? Having never asked the question, what's my real purpose for what I'm supposed to be doing? Right? If you never ask that question, I feel like you're really missing out on a lot of potential and truly your ultimate life and where you should be. And by the way, purpose is not tied. A lot of people assume it's tied to money. You know, my purpose, when I'm living my purpose, it means that I'll be on Instagram driving a Lambo or, in a mansion or anything like that. That's not purpose is not a money thing. Purpose is a purpose thing, right? It's that thing that when you do it, you feel alive. And that could be any number of things across the spectrum. Okay. So, the first thing is when you think about this particular thing, whatever you wrote down or whatever you may think your purpose is, does it make you smile? I'd say start there first. So, the next way to know if something is truly your purpose is ask yourself, how often do you think about it? How often do you think about what this thing is? I can tell you that I think about writing a lot. I think about writing all the time. I'll just be out, running an errand or something, and a thought will pop in my head for this upcoming book series I'm writing, and I do notes in my phone, and so that's my big thing is I'll always have my phone out, and I'll just voice my notes as I'm driving so that I don't forget that thought. I do that all throughout the day, but it's because I love writing. I love it. Like there's just something about having a thought in my head and putting that on paper, and it's something that I know can help somebody. Like that for me is just a feeling I can't describe. So, how often do you think about this particular thing? Whatever this thing is, if it's something that you love, if it's something that feels like it's your purpose, then you're going to think about that thing a lot. If it's something that just every now and again you think about it, every now and again it crosses your mind, it's like, oh, that would be nice, or oh, that thing is cool. But it's not really something that consumes your thoughts. It's not something that you just, you think about a lot and it's something that you really are passionate about, then it's probably not a purpose. So the next question to ask is whatever this thing is, are you good at it or do you have a desire to be good at it? See, a lot of times with purpose, we may think something is our purpose, but maybe it's not necessarily our skill set. And we may want to, try to go hire somebody else that could do that skill set for us or could help us in that area. But that would require us to have a desire to try to be good at it, or we work with someone else that's good at it, right? But if we're not good at this particular thing and we don't even necessarily have that much of a desire to be good at it, and even the thought of trying to get someone else to help us to do it, we don't have that much of a push to do that either, then that's a pretty strong sign that we may just not care that much about this thing. It may be something that's, again, it's nice to do. It might sound like a good idea or something that's okay, but it's not our purpose. a purpose is something that it's going to drive us to get better. I mean, you think about someone like Michael Jordan, and I've read stories where he would shoot thousands of jump shots per day, like ridiculous. I mean, his work ethic was one of the, he's basically known for having one of the strongest work ethics in all of sports. But it's because he wanted to get better at basketball. His purpose and what he loved was the game of basketball, right? So that's with anything, like anything that we have a desire for or we feel it's our purpose, we're going to have a desire to do it, to get better. We'll seek out advice from others. We'll seek out help to improve. I mean, these are the kind of things and the kind of behaviors that let us know if something is truly our purpose. And if we don't approach it that way, then more than likely it's not something that we're that passionate about and not something we necessarily care about that much. So, another very obvious way to know if something is your purpose is ask yourself the question and be honest, be very honest. But would you do it for free? Would you do it for free? Like, is this thing that you believe might be your purpose? Is it something that you will do it and money just doesn't cross your mind? Now, the reason that I say this, I've been doing the Introvert Leader platform for going on 2.5 years now. God, it's really gone by fast. Time flies. And the social media aspect of what I do, as far as posting videos and posting content and things like that, I don't really generate income off of that. At one point, I was through Reels on Instagram. But honestly, outside of that, the most of my income primarily comes from my books, my sales and books. So, really, from a social media standpoint and videos and things like that, it's really not something I do for the money at this point. Now, at some point, it may become profitable. Things may blow up and I may earn income off of videos and things like that. But really, that's not my focus. That's not why I do Introvert Leader. I mean, Introvert Leader was birthed out of a desire, again, talking about helping people that feel misunderstood. That's what it was birthed out of, right? So for me, it's a purpose thing. It's not a thing where I have to see a check in order for me to record a video. And there's some people out there like that, and you may be that way with particular things. And there's nothing wrong with making money. Like, don't misunderstand what I'm saying to mean that you should only do a purpose because there's no money attached. That's not what I'm saying either. I mean, we again have lives to live. We have, things that we desire. So, making income is great and you should do that if you have the opportunity. But again, the purpose or whatever you wrote down that you feel like you should be doing, or maybe you're already doing, is it something that when you think about it, there has to be a paycheck attached? And if there's no paycheck attached, you just won't do it. Because if that's the case, then is it really your purpose or is it really more of a job? Right? See, most jobs, we wouldn't go to a job if we weren't getting a paycheck. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Most people, if they were not getting that paycheck, they would not wake up in the morning and go to that job or wake up in the morning and log on, or they wouldn't do that business if there wasn't profit or something attached to that business, right? That doesn't necessarily sound like purpose. Now, the sweet spot is when you have purpose and there's also a financial incentive attached to that as well. I mean, that is a sweet spot to be in, right? But think about it. The thing that you're thinking about, would you do it for free? If you would do it for free, then whatever gain or whatever comes out of that at any point in the future, then that's just a bonus. I mean, that's really what it is. The fact that somebody would make money doing what they love, I just view that as a bonus. So, would you do it for free? Or is the thing that you're thinking about really just more like a job? And the last way to know if something is truly your purpose is, would you do it for a long period of time without feeling drained? Could you do it for a long period of time without feeling drained? This is a very telltale sign because I'll tell you that it takes time for things to grow. it takes time for things to really just mature into what they're supposed to be. And this could be everything from you, working a job, starting a business, your family. I mean, this could be attached to so many different things in terms of what you feel like your purpose might be. But can you consistently do it over a long period of time? Because what I do know from doing a lot of different business ventures in the past and being involved in various groups and things like that, when it's not your purpose and it's not what you're supposed to be doing, you are going to get drained and you are going to burn out. Trust me, I've seen it happen time and time again. It has happened to me. And it becomes very clear when it's not what you're supposed to be doing. You just feel it. There's something in your gut that you feel when it's not what's meant for you. And I've been there. I know that feeling. And so if you feel that, then that thing is probably not your purpose or what you're supposed to be doing. Again, like I said earlier in the episode, we have things in life that sometimes we have to do to get by, or we have to do just to get to that next, step or whatever we're trying to do. But ultimately, if something is really your purpose and something that you love and you're supposed to be doing, then it's not going to be something that's going to make you feel drained. You may get tired at times. You may get tired. I'm not going to lie. There's sometimes when I'm recording a video for Introvert Leader and I really feel like going to sleep because I had a long day of work and things like that. But I don't feel drained by it. There's a difference. Tired is a temporary state of being. We can be tired at times, but I don't feel drained from doing what I love. I never feel drained from writing, you know? So, whatever you're doing, you're going to know it's your love or it's your purpose when you don't feel drained. You feel exhilarated just from thinking about it. So, listen, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. This was an episode that I really felt was necessary. Again, just given some things that have been on my mind. And I know a lot of you listening have probably had similar thoughts where you ask yourself, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I going down the right path? If you're, listening as an introvert and you overthink what you're doing or you've ever overthought, are you going in the right direction? Then hopefully you found this to be helpful. And if you look at the 5 things we covered, I feel like that helped to answer the question of if you're currently walking in your purpose or if you need to look at possibly changing direction. All right. So before we go, I'd like to leave with a quote. And it's actually a quote that is from an unknown author. And it says, if your path is difficult, it is because your purpose is bigger than you thought. If your path is difficult, it's because your purpose is bigger than you thought. So sometimes things can get hard and we don't understand why. Sometimes things just seem like nothing is working out. And do I need to start over? Do I need to do something different? Like what is going on? I know that there have been times where even recently I've been like that with what I do with Introvert Leader, where I've asked myself, are people still resonating with this? Are people resonating with this podcast? Are they resonating with the book? Are they really understanding this mission? Do they feel connected? And it's funny because anytime I have those thoughts, I'll get a message from somebody or somebody will make a comment on some video that I posted that I might have completely forgot about. And it just reminds me that, yes, I'm doing the right thing. And I just need to continue doing what I'm doing, So I would encourage you, if you're out there and if you feel like giving up ever, or if you, wonder, are you in the right space in life? Are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? Again, go back to those 5 questions, really assess what I'm doing or what I think I should be doing. Does it meet the criteria of these 5 questions? And if it does, I would tell you, you are on the right path. And no matter how difficult things get, continue to lean into that purpose. Okay. So as always, remember, there's only one you and there's only one life. So make it count. God bless.